Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
It's nice to see you all this morning. I saw a number of you yesterday at the wonderful Troop 58 85th anniversary celebration. So today this monthly service again is to honor our divine parent of the universe, our divine mediator, Ikigami Konko Daijin, and also to celebrate the physical and spiritual birthdays of our loved ones in November. It's also a time in Japanese culture, actually on November 15th, that we pray for the health of children who are 3, 5, and 7 years old. And this was due to the high mortality rate of people long ago. People who have children or care for children, including furry children, know that being concerned about them is a lifelong process, never ending. No matter how old the children are, no matter whether they are in their 40s, 50s, or 60s, and no matter how old we are. Before my mom transitioned from her physical to her spiritual form at age 87, she would say, "Joe, are you going shopping this time of night? Let me go with you. I'll protect you." Today, I'd like to talk about having faith and not fear, and being in harmony with others, aware of our own needs, aware of our loved ones' needs. I'd like to share an experience that happened about a month ago in Tokyo. It's hard to believe that it's been already a month since Evan and I have been back from our trip to Tokyo, and a group of 8 of us here from church had gone. So it was a hot, humid day in Tokyo that still felt like summertime. Even though it was fall, every step felt like energy was being zapped from you. Evan and we took a local Tokyo subway train to the Konko Church of Shiba in Shimbashi area to pay our respects to Reverends Akemi and Kazuo Utsugi for attending our June Spring Grand Ceremony. They came this year for the 50th anniversary of our late head minister, Reverend Shinko Fukuda, who was our second head minister, wife of Reverend Yoshiaki Fukuda, and also she was the older sister of Akemi Sensei's mother, Reverend Aiko Oba. So Evan and we walked about the 10 to 15 minutes from the train station to the Shiba church, only to find it was closed, and no one would answer my call when I called the number that was posted on the glass door entrance. It turned out that they were at the grand ceremony at our sacred grounds in Okayama for the second one for Ikigami Konko Daijin, and we had attended the first one, the first of 3. Since leaving the train station, I have to admit that I needed to use the restroom, and I expected to be able to use the one at church. So I tried to get Evan and me back and myself back to the train station before I had an accident. And so Evan, he's a slow walker, so it felt like eternity. I read a sign at the train station that said the restrooms were downstairs. So I said to and so Evan, his Down syndrome, it contributes to his poor balance. Understandably, he's fearful of falling, so he carefully takes his time to go downstairs. So I made an executive decision. Since he didn't want to go down to the restroom anyway, I told him he could wait for me nearby at the top of the stairs, and I would come right back when I was finished. And so he's usually very patient, and he waits where he's told. So I went downstairs, I used the restroom, and when I emerged from the stairs, there was no Evan to be found. I didn't panic because this wasn't my first rodeo. When Evan was young, during the holidays at Disneyland, at the age of 8 or 9, he wandered away from me. So, and many of you have heard this story already, so I'm going to just focus on this time. So as I mentioned, I didn't panic because I felt that Kami-sama would let him be safe. I stayed calm, so because I was calm, I was able to think. And I remember, okay, it's 1 o'clock. I have a 3 o'clock. We have a 3 o'clock date to meet a friend at a nearby hotel. So I called the friend and told her what happened. So I canceled our meeting because I didn't think Evan and I would make it there in time. Of course, I did hope that I would be allowed to find him before our 11 p.m. flight the next day back to San Francisco. So after 20 minutes of looking for Evan by myself, I decided to get reinforcements. So I asked a passerby the directions to the koban, the police box in the area. And so after arriving at the police box, I explained the situation, showed a picture of Evan, and it was a blessing because I took a picture of Evan at the Shiva church, kind of proof for the Shiva folks that we were there. And so his description would match the clothes in the photo. So it's a good thing that I could speak some Japanese because the man and woman police officers did not speak any English. And then they wondered why my Japanese was so good. Ooh, teaching moment. I started talking about the Konko faith and my relationship to it, but I just got blank stares. They weren't even familiar with the nearby Konko Church of Shiba, or at least they didn't appear to be. So as I waited in that air-conditioned, though tightly spaced koban box, I couldn't take any, by the way, I couldn't take any pictures there because they were strict about taking pictures indoors and pictures of them. I wanted to take a picture of them, if they found Evan. So the woman police officer who went to look for him, she called the koban back in about 10 minutes. So 10 minutes later, she found Evan, and he was sitting on one of the station steps indoors in a cool area, which was on the opposite end of the station that I told him to wait. So I was happy for their help, and Kami-sama allowed Evan to be safely found. And rather than be angry or annoyed with Evan for leaving the area that I asked him to stay, I was able to look at myself, and I was allowed to realize that I didn't do what I normally do. I normally find a place for Evan to sit down before I leave him to do some quick task. But the urgency to use the restroom threw me off. So going forward, I will not make that mistake again. And I couldn't be angry or frustrated with him because he was doing what comes natural to him, which is to go find a seat to sit down. And he did stay put once he got there, just not where I asked him. So while I was looking for him, I did spot areas nearby that had a makeshift seats, such as like a tree planter box that was made with brick where I could have asked him to wait. So rather than getting upset with Evan, I apologized to him for not finding him a seat. Do you know that Evan, he is always calm, and he never gets upset, or never panics or cries when he's lost, because he never thinks he's lost, right? He always trusts that I, Mom, will find him, and Kami-sama always allowed me to. And so that's a good question for Evan. If he trusts Kami-sama, or he trusts me, or the both of us to find him. Now, I think now we are in the Japan police system. So I'll let you know in the future if they let me back in the country for losing my son there. The woman I was supposed to meet is a believer at the Konko Church of Tokyo, our parent church. So Reverend Masaru Hata, the head minister there, contacted me after I let the believer know that I found Evan. And I didn't tell him directly. I didn't want to panic anybody. But then Reverend Hata, he said that he was praying so hard for Evan to be found. And so just that feeling that I wasn't alone, the love and the prayers by other people's warms my heart and reinforces the truth in our interconnectedness with each other throughout the world. So in mediation this past week, a number of people at church have brought up having fears. Being human, it's natural to have fears, doubts, worry, anxiety. What is the opposite of fear? So I have my own thoughts about that, but decided to Google on my phone opposite of fear. So the Oxford Languages lists calmness and confidence as the opposite. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary breaks up fear into two categories, anxiety and worry. So in anxiety, it's a presence or threat of danger. The opposite would be confidence, assurance, boldness, courage, and self-confidence. And for the second category of fears, which is worry, Worry as an anticipated misfortune or trouble. So the opposite would be unconcern, ease, peace, contentment, tranquility, calmness, calm, serenity, etc. So according to a Google survey in Psychology Today back in February of 2022, the true opposite of fear is knowledge and understanding. Okay. Knowledge and understanding. Quote, begins with curiosity, initiates investigation, leads to learning, in turn creates knowledge and understanding. So now, in the spiritual perspective, what do you suppose the opposite of fear is? It's having faith, right? The opposite of fear is having faith. So in the Konko faith, we realize that we don't have control of many parts of our lives, but we can choose how we react to it. And it's very common to have fear of the unknown. But what is important with our kami-centered perspective is our faith and belief in our unconditionally loving divine parent, and with our belief, our faith, and our trust in our divine parent, we can face any situation, meet our challenges, and overcome our hardships. Knowledge and understanding is very important for our kami-centered and human-centered relationships. The more awareness, sensitivity to others, and compassion we have of others and ourselves, I believe the closer we can move toward living in a harmonious world of mutual respect and understanding. So have you found yourself in relationships that you want the other person to change a certain behavior or habit, and you know that they won't? They say that they won't, yet you find yourself still getting disappointed when they don't change time and time again. So it's time to accept they won't change, for one. Number two, change your perspective instead. Or number three, seek kami-centered's guidance to find a way for you both to meet somewhere in the middle or compromise to attain a harmonious relationship. As we know, the U.S. presidential election is in 2 days. The outcome affects not only our country, but the entire world. I hope we can shed our fears, have faith and trust in Divine Parent Kami, and vote for a candidate that we believe wants us to let go of our fears and instead lets us all work together and live in peace and harmony. So I'd like to end with teaching number 15, page 10 here in chapter 2 of Be Joyful and Appreciative in this book, Shinja no Kokoro e, Live with Faith, Being a Konko Believer, by our founding head minister of this church, Reverend Yoshiaki Fukuda. Quote, do not dwell on bad things that could happen. Look forward to the future. Okay? Do not dwell on bad things that could happen. Look forward to the future. Thank you. And side note, at the suggestion of several people, I did go ahead and purchase an air tag for Evan, so it'll be delivered soon. Okay. Okay.